start me on the clock now. You know, we live in rare times. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you. We have out of control spending. We have more and more bills going through the State House that we can't pay for. And in fact, this year, for the first time that I ever can recall, the mayor actually had a rally at City Hall in support of raising taxes. This is where we stand currently. And I've been around this stuff my whole life. And one of the things why I love to come to these civic association meetings is because this is where what it's really all about in politics. It's neighbors doing something to help their neighborhood and their neighbors. I grew up, my father was a committee in part of our civic association. I grew up right around the Bustleton and Haldeman area. I did my whole life. I went to Washington High School, Albany, Bustleton Elementary. I think it's Sam Frank now. So my first memories are going as a little fella with my dad and much more hair then, knocking on doors, trying to help everybody. My father was, he was a working class guy. We were not rich people. The thing that he taught me the most, which I always took with me, what I've done in my career, what I'm trying to do now, is the most important thing that you can ever do is help your neighbors. To me, politics was always door to door, street to street. Not about winning, but if you can help a neighbor, whether it be something small, get them a sign to keep the dogs from, leaving themselves on your lawn, or helping them get funding for their special needs child. You've made a friend forever because you've made a difference in someone's life. And I've tried to take that with me as I've gone on in my life. My father passed away, unfortunately, in 1993, 2 months before I graduated law school. And I took over for my dad as a committee. My grandfather before him was a warden like my father was. And when I became a lawyer, I went into family law, which is one of those, I'm sure many of you know. We've all had somebody that's gone through something like that. You've seen happier verdicts after guilty verdicts and homicide trials. But one of the things that is wonderful about it is you can help children, you can help families. And I've had some success. In fact, a few years ago I had a case some of you may have heard of. Elderly grandparents named Represntative had their 5-year-old grandson taken away by DHS because they were too old. And they came to me to try to help them. And in my years of doing this, I graduated law school in 1993. I've never seen such a rush to judgment. There was no hearing. They came in, took the child out one day when the grandparents weren't home. And since that point, they struggled. And listen, as a young lawyer, I was happy. I was getting exposure. We were on Michael Smarkanish's show, and I was on Good Morning America, but it was real hot to trot. But one of the things that was really I learned more than anything was, I tell everybody, they gave more to me than I ever did to them. Because they were in it because they wanted to improve the life and save the life of the grandson. Unfortunately, the grandfather Morris passed away in 2008. Mildred just passed away a few weeks ago. And the Northeast Times wrote a nice, wonderful article, a tribute to her. And there was a quote in it, and it talked about, back in 2007, Mildred, her name was, said, I need to do this, we need to do this so that grandparents like us never have to go through this again. Because in today's day and age, as we all know, grandparents have many times had to step in to be the child rearers, to be the caregivers. So one of the first things that pushed me to want to run is to do something just for that. And one of the first acts that I will do when elected to state office is change the Grandparent Visitation and Custody Act. I'm going to name it after Mr. and Mrs. Representative. Because I want their grandson to know that when he grows up, how much his grandparents loved him and fought him. And I think that's an invaluable lesson. So when this election came around, and also when I was a young guy, I worked for former state representative George Kemp. George was a lifelong friend of my family. I was a young 21-year-old, and Chucky will forgive me, I know you've heard this story already. I learned a very valuable lesson with George. It's a lesson that a legislator should always carry. Always make your staff pay for everything. So when a 20-year-old college kid getting to go up to the State House for the first time, George is taking me out, and I've never been there before. He's like, I'm going to take you out to a nice lunch. I wore my good suit, my only suit at the time. So we get out to whatever restaurant he takes us to, and all of a sudden I see him fidgeting in his pockets. He's like, you got any money on you? then never take your wallet out. Because once I took the wallet out, he saw how much we had drinks, I got him yogurt, I picked up a gift for his wife Liz, and paid for gas on the way home. So now I'm making him pay me back, and now he's wondering I can't pay. So why I'm involved now is very simple. As I told you, I'm a lifelong NEast resident. And things have got to change now. We in the Northeast, as I'm sure you all know, we pay the highest percentage of taxes of anybody in the city. In fact, I think, as the budget's going through today, I think they're about to approve a property tax increase of approximately 9.9%. We have in the state out of control spending. We have in the past, last year and this year, a proposed $1 billion budget. $1 billion of spending. I need to break to everybody. We don't have $1 billion coming in. And one of the few lessons that I paid attention to from my mother, and I told her this on Mother's Day, was when she said, don't spend what you don't have. But yet, unfortunately, that's what happens happening at the state and the city level. We have revenues commensurate with what we were pulling in 2004. So if every year we have expenditures of $29 million, we only have 24 coming in. This year alone, Governor Rendell proposed a bill of another $1 billion. And he proposed to fund it with two big things. First was tolls on I-80. We hoped to get $400 million. The Department of Transportation said you can't do that. So that $400 million he's counting on is gone. He also took out of the M-Care fund, if anybody knows what that is. That's a fund set aside for community hospitals and physicians to help pay their malpractice. Took $808 million out of that. Commonwealth Court told us, no. Couldn't put that back. That's not what that's for. We've exhausted every other fund. Rainy day fund is exhausted. So now all of those money that he was counting on to pay for this bill, that's gone now. We cannot pay for this. So we're not California yet, but we're pretty darn close. And we have already had more taxes raised and levied upon us in the past 2 years than in the past decades. Spending has increased 45% in the past 7 years. I can keep going, and I'm going, because we need to realize how bad this is. We have the highest sales tax in the state of Pennsylvania. Everybody else is 6, we're 8. What is so amazing about that was, back when this came through, my opponent actually made a very big stink about it. In fact, it's in the August 3rd edition, August 3rd of 2009 Daily News, that he was going to go against his party because he could not support this bill because it's going to hurt you financially, which it does, and causes you to go shop out of the city, which it does. Now when the vote came, he voted for it. And guess what? So he's going to need approval for that again from the State House to keep it that high. You already know where he's going to go. He's going along with the governor on every tax bill, every proposal that's come through. What I'm proposing is we have to have a solution to this. It's not just doom and gloom, but real simple. We've been asked to tighten our belts. The government has to now. We've got to cut that spending down by cutting the size of government. And you're all probably thinking, well, on our services, which we're not getting enough of, going to be cut even more. No. We already have more government workers now than we did 10 to 15 years ago, and we have 1 million less people. So when you hear now leaving the city budget say, well, we're going to be cutting such and such positions from the budget, all they're doing is not filling positions that were open. They're just not paying people they hadn't paid. I'm proposing a 10% across the board cut of each department. By that, we can actually, for a change, lower our tax burden, that we all can use it. All of us in some way or another are on a fixed income coming in the door. I've had more people as I've gone door to door. I don't have a primary phone, but it's important to get out there now and hear what's important to all of you. Who told me they're not going to be able to keep their houses. They're unlimited as it is now with these property tax increases. They're not going to be able to sustain. Just by starting to do that, we can save millions of dollars, just simply by making the cut close. And I think that's a wonderful place to start. We keep our taxes for the basics: police, fire, sanitation, education, infrastructure. That's where our money should go. So when you hear things about the trash tax, which by the way is dead, shocking. That's what you pay taxes for in the first place. You need to pay for your own. The soda tax, that may be something that's going to, they're still debating that, just how much. Well,